What's a scientific fact that creeps you out? By Ask Reddit.
Caterpillars turn completely into goo in their cocoon, and then become a butterfly.
And there is evidence they retain memories from their pre-goo days. Memories of strong positive, negative stimuli that they show preference for, aversion to, even after metamorphosis.
Pre-goo days. I love it. I don't like this.
Just imagine a cartoon cocoon with the caterpillar inside melting like ice cream, but still has the googly eyes, and it's kind of cute and funny.
So the eyes just float in the goo? You've made it worse.
I'm not a caterpillarologist, but I've read somewhere that the neural network stays at least partially intact.
Lepidopterist. And they break down to the cellular level.
Even then the synapses can survive for the most part with neurons sort of free-floating. Reminds me of the stories about those people with uncaught hydrocephalus who lead perfectly normal lives despite their brains basically getting squashed into about 10% of the normal volume.
Reminds you of the what?
Hydrocephalus. Symptoms include shouting, "What?" loudly and without warning. Popular rapper DMX famously suffered from this.
I bet someone, somewhere in the world, has taken advantage of this fact and drank it.
Shrek used it to brush his teeth.
That's what that was. I always thought he squished a slug, or something.
It's also my second favorite thing on toast.
Because of some pesticides used, roaches won't go anywhere near a meth lab. Edit. Didn't expect this much after reading some RPF. For those you are asking, meth labs have been known to produce toxic gas, like phosphine, which a common insecticide. Phosphine is often used in silos to deal with vermins.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact we don't have to deal with swarms of cranked-up cockroaches.
Well, thank you for the nightmares.
FBI. Open up. Your home is roach-free.
The brain can play tricks on you. When you look at a clock and the second hand seems to freeze for a moment, your brain is actually generating a false memory, and your perception of time stretches slightly backward. This effect is called chronostasis. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/chronostasis.
Wait, what?
Pay attention to the second hand of a clock, blink, and see how long it stays there.
I only saw it stay there for a second.
Not blinking, it's when you look really quickly.
But wait, there's more. When you move your eyes rapidly, you don't see the things in front of you streaking across your field of view. What happens is that your brain just deletes that part. To fill in this gap in your perception, you would think the brain would stretch out that last image you saw before you moved your eyes, like a stuck video, but instead your brain takes the first thing you see after your eyes move, and does a copy and paste back over the blank couple of tenths of a second while your eye was moving. This fools your brain into thinking it sees the new view even before your eyes moved to where you could see it. Why would your brain do this? Imagine you see a small, quick animal out of the corner of your eyes. As you snap your eyes over to look at it, the animal jumps out of sight in like a 20th of a second, too fast to be perceived, normally. However, as far as your fooled brain is concerned, it looks like the animal froze in place for a few tenths of a second, which gives the mind part of your brain a better chance to register and understand that fleeting image.
So you're saying it's a feature, not a bug?
Haha, perception is dope. There's a whole spectrum of ways reality is experienced simultaneously, which I find really interesting.
This made me feel uncomfy.
That's happened to me so many times. I didn't know this was common. I just figured maybe my brain experiences mini strokes every once in a while.
That so many vegetables came from the same plant. Broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, etc. They are, botanically speaking, the same species. Humans have just bred them to emphasize different traits: buds, leaves, tubers. Imagine if humans were as genetically flexible. Imagine a person walking around with giant toes, but otherwise normal. Actually, plant genetics in general is a weird world.
I mean, if we spent generations selectively breeding ourselves based on traits like giant toes, something like that could happen. Just look at dogs.
The canine family is actually unusual in that respect. The entire canine family has slippery genes. I don't understand it, I'm not a geneticist, just read about it, and is much more variable in their phenotypes than other families of mammals. Look at other animals that have been domesticated for thousands of years: cats, horses, sheep and goats, cattle. The breeds vary in their appearances, but nowhere near as much as different breeds of dogs do. A Shetland pony and a Percheron draft horse resemble each other much more than do a pug and a greyhound. Ditto a Siamese cat vs an American shorthair, or a Nubian goat vs a Boer goat.
Yes, I saw a special on National Geographic about this once. Back when it used to have high-end programming. It was fascinating.
It always baffles me when people freak out about GMO products when literally everything has been genetically engineered to be the way it is at some point.
Your brain literally creates your own reality and your senses and body just go along with it.
And this accurately explains how schizophrenics truly believe the voices they hear or their other delusions are correct. Something in their wiring of how to interpret the world has gone wrong and their brain is only making sense of the reality that it is being shown.
I work in healthcare, not mental health care but emergency medicine. The number of schizophrenics I have met that are completely aware the voices are in their heads so they ignore them is mind-boggling.
Have you ever hallucinated before? I genuinely recommend trying it because it makes it very clear how this works. Also, a lot of schizophrenics are pretty normal, well-adjusted people aside the schizophrenia, so like if you were sitting in your room and a dog floated in attached to a balloon, or the number 7 started telling you you're worthless, at first you're gonna get freaked out by it, but once you confirm that it's not there you're going to realize, okay, this is me. It helps that a lot of hallucinations are recurring as well, so if you know they happen you can just tell yourself they're not, even though everything in you is saying that's not the case. It's really weird, but it's fascinating. The really hard stuff is like extreme paranoia. I worked with a woman whose whole family basically was schizophrenic, her included, and there were a few times she'd say things like, "You're not hacking my phone, right?" Or, "The mayor is stalking me," that kind of thing. And for someone who has experienced similar paranoias to a considerably lesser degree, I can understand that those aren't really that easy to shake.
People think the brain sees what the eyes tell it to, but really the eyes pull up an image of blurry colors and dark spots and the brain goes, "Cool, so that's a tree."
Just how big of a number a mole actually is.
I can still remember the mole song our chemistry teacher played for us. The song is from when the world population was 5 billion. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v =pvt 51moec5c.
Relevant XKCD https://what-if.xkcd.com/4/. You get and cure cancer in your own body thousands of times a day.
Excuse me, what?
Your body produces thousands and thousands of cells with damaged DNA. It's a bit of exaggeration to call them cancer, but if any of these cells were to survive they could become cancerous. Your immune system destroys them before they get to that point. This is also why if you were to live forever you would eventually get cancer, because the chances of your body missing them statistically increases. This occurs thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times a day.
Whoa, this is interesting and mad.
It's pretty cool. It's one of the reasons why the older we get the higher the cancer risk and why it would be nearly impossible to ever hit 150 years old. Cancer always wins. Also, the cells that take care of this begin to die off. Elephants and sharks have huge numbers and it's why they rarely get cancer.
Makes sense. I am researching this more. As soon as I post about most people having mites on their face and in their pillows. We are literally infested.
Some mutations of just one letter in the DNA code can kill the fetus almost instantly, but some people live and have a seemingly healthy life while missing a whole chromosome. If you understand anything about biology, that's completely wild.
I think mutations in cytochrome C are pretty much lethal, and cytochrome C has barely changed in millions of years.
Cytochrome C, the load-bearing drywall of the genome.
Load-bearing drywall shudder.
Only slightly better than load-bearing plumbing or electric.
I work with children with special needs. You'd be surprised to find out how many kids you think just have a generic or common disability actually have a super rare chromosome mutation. I know more than one child where fewer than 100 people in the world have been diagnosed with their particular condition. In some cases a piece of a chromosome has broken off and their disability is due to where it reattached to another chromosome. Science is amazing. And this is just based on the kids whose parents did genetic sequencing. There are so many we would never know.
Code bugs, some are worse than others, sad face.
My whole family actually has an incredibly rare code bug on the K1 gene. It's been diagnosed in just a couple dozen families, and it's probably not impossible that some of us are related and just don't know it. All it does is dramatically change the texture of our palms and soles, nothing else. It changes the protein in those skin cells. It can be painful at times, but for the most part we function fine. It's a dominant trait, so most of our babies have it, but I've never seen anyone IRL outside of my family with it. However, the same mutation on the ABCA12 gene results in harlequin ichthyosis, which is severely debilitating, often fatally so. It's so strange how changes in our DNA can be so subtle with such extreme results.
The first AI that can successfully pass the Turing test would be able to pretend that it couldn't.
That's terrifying.
I'm genuinely scared now.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.